Chapter 22-25 Kormo Giant Eagle. Thump. Anemo leaped and transformed into a giant black eagle with a wingspan of 100 meters in the sky. Power of the Eight Gods' second form, Korma Giant Eagle. The so-called power of the Eight Gods means that one can possess 8 different beast forms and can control different kinds of power. Call. The storm arose along with the giant eagle Korma, who let out a sharp cry and headed straight for Suzaku. If it is a one-on-many battle, then common sense is to let the other side lose fewer people first, and you must kill the weaker one. However, when Suzaku faced Anemo's attack, he did not show any panic on his face. The storm was raging, but Suzaku was flapping his wings coldly. Ice prison Suzaku. She spread her wings and transformed into a blazing fire that soared into the sky. Blue flames spread across the sky, and everywhere in the void, blue mandala flowers bloomed, then spiraled down. The ability of the Kormo Giant Eagle is Storm. The power of this storm makes the ice flame even more violent. The stronger the storm, the more intense the flame. In a flash, the sky was filled with burning blue flames. The Kormo Giant Eagle chased after the vermilion bird and was inevitably enveloped by the icy flames, with the flames splashing onto his body with the wind. Although it was just a few pinpricks of fire, it was so weak that Anemo didn't even feel it. But as he tried hard to chase Suzaku, he gradually felt that something was wrong. Because in just a few seconds, raging flames were burning on his body. Damn, when did this fire start? Anemo's face changed suddenly. If it was an ordinary flame, the strong wind it brought about would be able to blow it out when moving at such a high speed. But why is it getting bigger and bigger? And what's going on with that feeling of strength rapidly draining away from my body? Zhuke just stepped back and looked at him coldly. Only then did Anemo realize that the ice flame used by Suzaku would be restricted underwater, and the speed at which it eroded his body was relatively slow. But when it comes into the air, the degree of burning will increase dozens of times. Anemo flapped his wings hard, but the stronger the wind, the more violently the flames burned. The feathers on his body gradually turned to ashes, not because they were burned, but because they were corrupted by the consumption of all their energy. This force even eroded his flesh, and a bone-chilling feeling instantly hit him. This flame is so weird. Anemo stopped chasing Suzaku and tried to put out the fire, but no matter how hard he tried, the flames could not be extinguished at all. A fierce look flashed in Anemo's eyes, and he actually exerted his strength directly, tearing off the part of his body that was burning with fire. Blood was flowing and black feathers were falling, which stopped the Bingyan from continuing to devour its energy. A flame that feeds on energy once touched. How terrifying. Only then did Anemo realize how wrong it was to underestimate Suzaku. However, due to the last war, Suzaku was only a Delta-level mutant, so there was not much information about her in the database. Even if there is, no one cares at all. Anemo suffered a great loss in intelligence, but the injuries were not too serious. It's not that difficult to deal with. As long as I don't let her flames touch my body, I can still kill her. Just when he was about to try a non-contact method to kill Zhuke, a sharp gust of wind suddenly came from behind him. When Anemo looked back, he saw a huge black shadow rushing towards him from below. Xuanwu actually left the ice surface and transformed into a giant gyroscope spinning at high speed, rushing straight towards him. Although Xuanwu's body is not good at land combat, it is not completely without tricks to use. This move of the black tortoise Euro perfectly utilizes the strength of its own armor and then collides with the enemy. Simple, but very useful. Anemo had no time to defend himself and was directly hit by the high-speed spinning gyroscope transformed by Xuanwu. Puff! The body of the Korma Giant Eagle was hit directly from the front, and the sound of his bones breaking could be clearly heard. This horrific collision almost cut Anemo in half. Anemo flapped his wings hurriedly, using the power of the storm to turn his body, relieving the impact of Xuanwu, and then leaped into the sky. Bah! At this time, Anemo was extremely angry. He let out a long roar and then flapped his wings rapidly in the sky. Ha ha. The wings flapped out one violent storm after another, hitting the Suzaku and Xuanwu below. Xuanwu's body fell back into the lake, and he opened his mouth and fired the Xuanguang cannon at the sky. Boom! The nuclear reactor started to work, and powerful energy gushed out from the depths of the basalt's throat, colliding with the storms. Just one collision completely destroyed the storm. Zhuke stared at Anemo. There were visible scars on the body of the Korma giant eagle. Not only those left by Xuanwu, but also some flesh and blood that Anemo tore apart after being burned by the ice flame. Go on, Suzaku said to Xuanwu. Xuanwu raised his neck high, and the nuclear reactor in his body continued to work hard. One after another, terrifying black light cannons shot straight into the sky, chasing Anemo and bombarding him fiercely. The high frequency of attacks made Anemo overwhelmed, and the injuries on his body also slowed down his speed greatly. He had to keep moving around to avoid Xuanwu's attacks. In giant eagle form, one can fly and harness the power of the storm. This form's greatest advantages are flight and speed, but its attack power is not strong enough. So, firepower can be used for suppression. Suzaku secretly recalled the information about Anemo. Then she raised her hands high, overlapped her white palms, and a ball of raging flames burst out from her palms, then covered her whole body, and turned into an extremely huge ice-blue divine bird behind her. Now, cover my attack. Suzaku spoke loudly to Xuanwu. Xuanwu did not hesitate at all, and directly increased the firing frequency of the Xuanguan cannon. In an instant, hundreds of ice-blue beams of light gushed out from the depths of his throat, like sharp swords piercing the sky, forming a dense cutting network. Such high-density and high-frequency attacks also put Anemo in trouble. If he continues to exercise vigorously while injured, the blood circulation in his body will accelerate and the injury will be aggravated. But at this time, he had no choice. The crisis in front of him was already making him exhausted, not to mention that Suzaku's attack was coming from the side. Chapter 22-26 Lightning Marten. It was an ice-blue vermilion bird that was hundreds of meters long, howling and pouncing towards him. Xuanwu and Suzaku, one from below and the other from the left, formed a crossfire attack on Anemo. Under normal circumstances, this is the most lethal formation on the battlefield because humans cannot complete both vertical and horizontal dodges at the same time within the short reaction time. The injured Anemo was no exception. He suddenly realized that being hit by the ice prison Suzaku at this time would be even more serious, because he had no time to extinguish the ice flame that would continue to devour his energy. So Anemo could only choose to avoid Suzaku's attacks as much as possible. The price, of course, was that the body of the Kormo giant eagle was directly hit by several black light cannons. Puff, puff. His body was almost pierced directly. The giant eagle's abdomen did not have a strong defense. The flesh was impacted by the high-energy cannon, and several large cuts were directly opened on it, and blood splattered. Anemo was feeling very uncomfortable at this time. He had already realized from the opponent's skillful response strategy that his own information had been completely leaked. He gritted his teeth, endured the severe pain, and suddenly flapped his wings. The huge body suddenly disappeared in the sky, and a yellow flash flashed in the sky like thunder and then quickly swept towards the earth. Its speed was so fast that even the naked eyes of Xuanwu and Suzaku could hardly capture its shape. But the two were not surprised at all. Anemo fell onto the ice of the lake, with yellow lightning wrapped around his body, and turned into a weasel only 1 meter long. Compared to the size of the lizard man, it is very petite, and its body is yellow all over with some black markings. Power of the 8 gods, Lightning Marten form. The Lightning Marten's eyes turned rapidly. He looked at the vermilion bird in the sky, then at the black tortoise above the lake, and quickly made a choice. He suddenly dived into the water. A moment later, an astonishing roar erupted from the ice surface, and yellow lightning suddenly appeared, crackling along a fixed track, quickly sweeping towards Xuanwu's body. In an instant, the entire surrounding water area was covered by yellow lightning, and the speed at which electric current was conducted in the water was astonishingly fast. Xuanwu had no time to dodge, and was completely enveloped by the terrifying yellow thunder. Sizzle, sizzle. A huge turtle body with yellow arcs of electricity moving across it. Xuanwu, however, remained calm and composed, his body motionless. I've electrocuted it, and it's probably charred on the outside and tender on the inside, right? Even if its life isn't in danger, it'll be paralyzed. I'll just bite this turtle to death first. Onemo's eyes were fierce, and he drew a yellow lightning symbol on the ice surface, heading straight for Xuanwu. An overly large body will make it extremely clumsy when facing a small and sensitive target. Onemo was certain that his powerful high-voltage electric current in the water was the best weapon to restrain Xuanwu. But as his body was moving, before he got close to Xuanwu, he suddenly saw Xuanwu open his mouth wide and fired a shocking black light cannon in his direction. Although it is impossible to accurately lock onto the high-speed moving Onemo, can't we use the characteristics of the Xuanguan cannon to launch a wide-area attack? The Lightning Martin is best at high-voltage electric attacks and speed, but its strength and defense capabilities are not very strong. Its speed was too fast, and it had no time to react to Xuanwu's attack, and was directly covered by the powerful Xuanguan cannon. When the Xianguang cannon hit his body, his eyes were still filled with disbelief. How come it has no effect? He couldn't figure it out. As a living organism, basalt is naturally an excellent conductive material, and it is in an environment like lake water that is conducive to the development of its abilities. He should have had the upper hand. But why does Xuanwu seem to be unaffected at all? First, he didn't know that the 8 gods' power he possessed was completely understood by Xuanwu and Suzaku. So, when facing the top combat force of the East China Sea region, the most powerful force among the Huaxiu Kingdom coalition forces, they would be perfectly countered by his every form. Secondly, Xuanwu had roamed the deep sea for many years and later suffered a heavy loss in the battle with the giant moray eel of Atlantis in the Devil's Eye. So, after returning, he strengthened his defense against the aliens with thunder powers. Beneath its thick shell, a lot of mechanical technology has been added. In addition to the nuclear reactor, there is also an additional layer of special insulating material that can isolate high-voltage current. These are all specially prepared for Onemo. Boom! Onemo's body was blown away heavily in order to better relieve the frontal impact. His body drew a trail several kilometers long on the surface of the lake, splashing huge waves, and finally rushed ashore, destroying a large area of jungle. The vermilion bird flapped its wings and rushed over. Without any hesitation, it opened its mouth and spit out a raging icy flame, which started burning the forest directly from high above. The attribute of Bingyan is fire. Although it is a fire that consumes all energy, it still burns in a special way when it encounters the forest. There was no surging heat explosion, but instead it became colder as it burned. The entire forest was lit up by blue flames, which looked beautiful, like a dream world. And in this forest, a huge black figure slowly stood up. At this time, Onemo transformed into a giant black bear over 10 meters tall. Giant bear form, possessing powerful strength and defensive capabilities. At the critical moment of enduring the attack of the Xuanguan cannon, he used the giant bear form to block most of the attacks. The disadvantage of this form is that it is clumsy to move. At this moment, Onemo let go of his arms that were blocking in front of him. His eyes looked terrifyingly solemn. From the beginning of the battle until now, he has been completely suppressed by the opponent's combination and has no room to fight back. His intelligence was completely suppressed. While he was still trying to understand the other party's abilities, the other party had already attacked him with all their might, focusing on his weaknesses and attacking fiercely. This unequal battle made him extremely depressed. After all, his ability index is only 25,000 points. But among his opponents, Xuanwu's ability index is also 25,000 points, and Suzaku has also grown to 18,000 points. His ability index had no advantage at all, and his personal ability information was completely leaked. The other party had even trained for more than 4 months just to deal with him. And this is exactly the result Zhang Yi wants to see. It was not a narrow victory, nor was it achieved through huge sacrifices. but it would be best if not any high-level combat force was lost, and the entire Wulwan Empire was destroyed at the lowest cost. Staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.